glory. We the Ambazonian, special loyalty. Praise to our Savior who granted us the freedom. Allegiance to the hero who brought the lonely gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing rivers and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.
My fellow Ambazonians, fellow soldiers of our War of Independence, I send a Happy New Year to our great people, the wonderful people of Ambazonia. First, let me thank all of you and thank God for the life of every citizen who was made into the new year, and to send my condolences to all the families who have lost loved ones because of the war or conditions that have been imposed by the war. As I have said continuously, our struggle for liberation is to ensure that we establish a socio-economic and political system that guarantees our right to life, not only life, but life in dignity, access to opportunities, and to feel at home in the country of our birth, but most especially to have the power to alter the governments that we put in place. For the past 60 years, we have gone through extreme difficulties under a political system that we have neither elected nor accepted, under the occupation of a country that is not ours, and we have not had the right nor the opportunity to change the system or change the government. Our struggle for freedom and dignity has been a difficult one. In the year 2020, our people have gone through the same kinds of nightmares that we have gone through every year in the past 60 years. Particularly so in 2020 because of international occurrence that we have had virtually no control over. In the beginning of 2020, we lost more than 35 of our fighters in Bui. They were captured, tortured, subjected to cruelty, asked to dig their own graves, some shot at point-blank range, others buried alive. We also know January has been the month that will remember on a yearly basis the kidnapping and rendition of the leadership of our sister organization. They have been subjected to kangaroo trial in Yaoundé, impose life sentences and conditions of living that are extremely very difficult. They sit in Kondengui with thousands and thousands of our brave men and women who rose up in our homeland to challenge the system of occupation and curtailment that has brought us nothing but misery. My fellow Ambazonians, the year 2020 has also been characterized by systematic brutality by Cameroon, massacres, torture, the continuous racing down and burning of villages, the continuous assassination of our young men, rape of our girls, and a reign of terror that has been a characteristic of the regime of occupation. A carefully planned genocide designed to eliminate Ambazonians from the land of their birth so that a foreign country can occupy it for economic and geopolitical opportunities. Our brave men and women have risen up to challenge this system that has been in place for more than half a century. During the period of this resistance, conditions of living far more unbearable have been imposed by the occupier on our country. Yet on Mondays, you have decided that it's going to be a day of collective resistance, a day that all of us as Ambazonians will register our opposition to the illegal expansion by another country of its borders beyond the territory it gained independence in. On Mondays, we have, as free men and free women resident out of our country, also taken part in registering our opposition to this system by making minimum gestures on Monday in solidarity with Ground Zero. Monday is particularly important because on a daily basis, when millions of our people are at home or going about their daily chores, our forces have been in constant battle to undermine the ability of Cameroon to impose a political system within our country without consent. Our forces have fought in various neighborhoods, villages. They fought urban guerrilla warfare to ensure that the symbol of Cameroon's power, which is its military, is totally undermined, eliminated, to give Ambazonians the opportunity to rebuild their country. On Mondays, as we go about our chores, thousands of our people are locked up in the jails of Cameroon. They've been deprived of their liberty because of Ambazonia. They didn't end up in jail for singing too loud in church or for running too fast on the streets. They were kidnapped from our homeland, deported to the capital of another country. Thousands of them subjected to cruelty and impunity, detained incommunicado without access to lawyer, to their families or loved ones. They were subjected to long hours of interrogation to gain confessions which could then be used in a kangaroo court of law to impose long-term sentences on them. As we go about our activities, Mondays give us the opportunity as a people desired of freedom, collectively, to inform the world that we are opposed to Cameroon's presence in our country, to send a powerful message to our friends, our brothers, our comrades in jail, that we stand in solidarity with you in the time of the deprivation of your liberty. On Mondays, we also send a solemn message to the families that have lost loved ones, that the lives of your children wasn't taken in vain. I want to thank our people who have defied the odds, who have sacrificed constantly on Mondays. The Bayam Selams who have not been able to sell their vegetables, the taxi drivers, the bike riders, and all other workers who have decided to sacrifice Mondays to inform the world that Ambazonians want to be free, that we are opposed to an alien system imposed on us. We have also, by our actions and dedication, consoled families whose kids have been killed. You have also, through your actions, opposed the system of deprivation imposed by mayors not elected, governors appointed, from the great state of Fako to that of Mezam, where in Moyoka and in Bamenda, rogue, unelected, unaccountable mayors, colonial agents, enablers of a system of impunity and curtailment, have tried to intimidate you. You have defied them. Our forces have defied them. As we have said repeatedly, we will hunt these men to the gates of hell. All those who in times of the greatest tragedy in our homeland have sought through omissions or commissions to enable a system that has brought us pain and misery will be held accountable. There will be accountability for their actions. Now, tomorrow, or in the future. My fellow people, to fight for freedom is not a choice, because those who deprive you of freedom impose conditions on you that you have no choice than to resist. To have risen up against Cameroon has not been a choice. War was declared on us 60 years ago, declared on us again on the tarmac of an airport by a 90-year-old man who for more than 60 years of his time in governance has done nothing, but his actions have cost the lives of our people and his own people. I know it's not easy. It's never been easy anyway. For when you watch on television sunshine over countries, darkness and gloom over others, we must try to understand what it has taken other people who have been subjected to oppression to have risen up, fought, died, bled, and ushered to a new generation, a better country than they ever lived under. For 60 years, we've appealed to Cameroon to allow us as a people to institute within our own territorial space the kind of system and governance institutions that reflect our values and our own way of life. Cameroon has not only rejected those appeals, it has used force to attempt constantly to impose its own system for the benefit of its own country, for the benefit of its own people. It has dismantled within our own country our economic infrastructures, destroyed our own industries, taking away from us the opportunities of employment from homegrown industries. It dismantled our own political system that was put in place to serve the people and impose on us a system that serves its own country and the political elite that control it. It has destroyed our way of lives, forced into exile millions of our people. Without apology, kidnap our brothers and sisters, rendition them to its own country, and put them in jail. The arrogance of Cameroon calls for every citizen of Ambazonia, wherever you may be, whether in exile in Cameroon itself, 6,000 miles from our own shores, or bunkered in our own country, to rise up, resist, and ensure that we can end once and for all this brutal system that has brought so much misery and hopelessness in our country. Last year, you have gone through difficulties like the coronavirus. At the onset, we communicated to you the necessity to maintain social distance, to make sure you can wear your mask, wash your hands, and when possible, use sanitizers. I know sometimes these prescriptions sound archaic because the economic circumstances do not permit you to have the opportunity to have the buying power to acquire basic kits that can make you live one day longer. But because we come from a communitarian society, we know we have stood together in times of peril. We've supported one another when it's been difficult. And so I ask every Ambazonian to show solidarity to those who don't have, to make sure you can share your opportunities, make it go around. I thank our diaspora and exile communities for the huge support in terms of remittances that they pour on a daily basis to families that are trapped in misery, so they can smile for one more day, plastering smile on the faces of families at home. It's a great way of showing that we care, that those who live in affluence can allow the affluence to trickle down to those who live in misery. That's how we as a people have survived for almost 130 years under different colonial systems. And that's the only way we are going to survive as a people in the last days of Cameroon's presence in our country. This does not hold only for civil society. This holds true also to our forces, that when you work together, when you collaborate, when you share in the bounties that you have, you give each bloc the opportunity to defend itself, protect the lives of our people, and make sure we can speed up the day that we end the tyranny of Cameroon in our country. Fellow Ambazonians, we are a free people. Physical liberation begins with mental liberation. In the past 4 years, you have vomited Cameroon out through the triad approach strategy that we put on the ground. You have caged their DOs, their governors. You have undermined their laws imposed on us. You've shattered the myth around the invincibility of their bees and gendarmes. You have made their collaborators hopeless. You've taken back power. And even though at times you might not be able to exercise it, just the fact that you've reclaimed the power over your life, over your destiny, is a beautiful thing. And though there are times of difficulties, you should remember you are in charge of your destiny. You should remember today that the system under which we live today is not the same as it was 4 years ago. That the blood that has been spilled in our country, the villages that have been burnt, the thousands and thousands of our people who have been displaced and live in squalor, in IDP camps in the middle of nowhere, hunkered down in family homes, has not been in vain. That our freedom, our independence is closer today than it was 4 years ago. That's why I ask on our people, for those who have, to continue to support our IDPs, to continue to give them hope in your actions, in your words, and in your material support. I want to thank all those who have continuously supported our refugees in Nigeria. Powerful ladies out here, powerful men, kind-hearted citizens who have continuously made sure that they can commit to ensuring that our people live happily in a strange country. The year 2021 has just begun. But before I lay out our strategy for this year, I would like to talk about a couple of issues that have accompanied us into the year 2021. The first is the action of the United Nations Development Program, the UNDP. In the past months, we have had consultations with the UNDP on Cameroon's attempt to instrumentalize this UN agency to begin so-called reconstruction within another country without the consent of our own institutions. What we must understand is the following. Cameroon has no interest in reconstructing Ambazonia. What we have today in Ambazonia is what Cameroon met. It has had 60 years with total control of our resources to provide opportunities, whether economic, political, or social, to our people. Rather, Cameroon has asked indigenous Ambazonian companies to pay taxes within Cameroon, to inject resources within municipalities of Cameroon, which can be used to build schools, roads, and other infrastructures that are necessary for development. Cameroon has failed woefully and deliberately refused to invest in Ambazonia because Cameroon has wanted to make Ambazonia a dependency so our people can totally depend on Cameroon, so we remain its slaves, worship its own flag, sing its anthem, and be Cameroonians without the right of citizenship. It has tried to instrumentalize an international institution to give a perception and a semblance of normalcy within Ambazonia so we can have opportunities for international credit, for international recognition, most importantly, international acclamation for having butchered our people to submission. We have informed the United Nations Development Program that in the midst of genocide, we will not accept any international endeavor that seeks to legitimize the occupation and give a semblance of normalcy while Cameroon continues with its agenda of impunity. Ambazonia will be constructed What we need now as a people are not structures. We want systems in place from the international community that saves lives, that protect our people, that give them hope, that gives them life in dignity, rather than use the UNDP to move ahead with Cameroon's agenda of normalization and legitimization. We ask the United Nations to invoke the responsibility to protect the lives of our people. We've asked them to create corridors through which IDPs can move into buffer zones that we control and that it can offer assistance in terms of security. This is what we need from the United Nations. What we also need from the United Nations and the international community is more pressure to be brought to bear on Cameroon to commit to an internationally supervised multilateral negotiating process that will end Cameroon's presence in Ambazonia. The international system has acted disjointedly, spoken in different voices, and have been scared to speak boldly, especially in the face of impunity committed in the full glare of the world's view. Secondly, I would like to talk about the organization of football tournaments within the territory of Ambazonia by the Confederation of African Football. My Secretary of State, Dr. Larry Ayamba, in the past days has communicated to CAF and to the individual countries that are sending their citizens into Ambazonia. We want to remind them that they are entering into a war zone within which there is a party to that conflict that has murdered priests, murdered journalists, killed foreign nationals, kidnapped and detained foreign nationals and treated them with impunity. It has used war machineries like armor personnel carriers, helicopter gunships, and assassinated people indiscriminately. And so we want to send a powerful message to these countries and to the Confederation of African Football. Ambazonia will not be held responsible for any crimes that will be committed against countries or their citizens within our territory in times of war. Secondly, Ambazonia is an independent country, and these countries must accept this fact, and that they should not come into our country without our explicit permission. We have decided to ensure that there will be no football tournament within our country. The essence of football tournament is to celebrate societies, is to celebrate harmony, is to celebrate people being together. We know that in the past 4 years, all of you, these countries, have remained silent in the face of genocide. By your inaction, you've acted in complicity with the regime of murder that has butchered our people. We ask your citizens to stay home, to stay in their sanctuary of safety, and allow us in these trying moments of despair to gather our energy, defend ourselves, and create an enabling environment within which our people can live in peace and prosperity. My fellow Ambazonians, the Ambazonian Governing Council is committed to an internationally supervised, multilaterally led initiative to negotiate Cameroon's exit from Ambazonia. We have always been committed and we have communicated our commitment to the United Nations, to the European Union, the African Union, to individual countries and different international institutions. And we have made it abundantly clear all the time that we are ready to take part in a process that we deem meets the minimum conditions for a fair process that would ensure that both parties to the conflict can sit together, negotiate, and that the process has the powers and the mechanisms to ensure the implementation of any agreed upon outcome. For 60 years, Cameroon has acted as a bad faith actor, whether in 1961, 1972, in the early years of democratization. It's not a country that has acted in good faith. International treaties are treaties based on good faith. Cameroon is not a country of good faith. It's a country that believes in political manipulation, bribery, extortion, and the use of force in resolving political conflict. While being committed to negotiation, we as Ambazonians will not get into any process that we do not deem satisfactory, meeting the minimum standard of fairness and transparency that guarantees that the process will lead, at least, to a credible outcome reflective of the collective aspirations of the Ambazonian people. My fellow countrymen and women, we have come a long way as a people. We have gone through the tunnel of darkness, and we see the light at the end of the tunnel. We must continuously work together. And where we disagree, we should disagree in a manner that is respectful, that shows recognition of other actors, their endeavors and their sacrifices, to make sure we speed up the decolonization process of our country. The year 2021 is going to be a year of full resistance. In the last 3.5 years of armed resistance, our forces have become bolder, more organized. The chain of command has become clearer. Our forces have excelled in planning, become sophisticated in intelligence gathering, and have demonstrated the ability to work with our civilian population to show themselves as the new masters of our homeland. And I ask our forces to continue on this path of progress, to collaborate with each other, and to make sure you can fight and work together to be more effective. It is very critical that we understand that we are in an armed resistance without any substantial support from anywhere in the world. But that also speaks of our bravery and our desire to be the primary investors in our own liberation, so we can be the full masters of our own destiny. In 4 years, your commitment to the defense of your homeland, the projection of power in the country of your birth, your commitment to your flag, to your anthem, to your comrades, to other citizens, to ensure all of us are in this together, to fight together, to live or die together, but to ensure that we bequeath to the next generation a better country, a better place, a better system of governance than we have ever lived under. In the past few weeks, our forces have been in action from Santa to Bamenda to Batsibo to Moyoka in Manyu and other places, to Nyereba, in Jikwa, in Pinyin, in Gi. Our forces have assaulted the enemy. They've made sure neither the enemy nor all those who enable, collaborate, facilitate the activities of an alien country in our country have no hiding space. We've put them in the place where they belong, in armored cars, in bulletproof vests. They've hunkered down in bunkers. That's where colonialism belongs. That's where enablers belong. Our forces are being armed, but it's not enough. I know it's difficult. Nothing good has ever come easy. I hear some people say they have donor fatigue. No. Our forces have not stopped fighting in the last 4 years. The Eritreans fought for over 25. The South Africans fought for over 50. We have been, in the last 4 years, an intense block-by-block battle to defend our neighborhood. We are just getting started. Ambazonians, I ask you to commit and to trust in the leadership that has demonstrated its capability in terms of outcomes, in terms of objectives, in terms of projecting Ambazonia as a state, giving it respect from both its friends and its foes, and stamping its place and authority amongst the nations of the world. We have done that as one people through our daily commitments, to our daily tragedies and our daily triumphs. And to our forces, I want to assure you, on a daily basis, we will continue to ensure that you have the materials you need to stay alive one day longer, to be able to be useful to yourselves, your families, to your homeland, and to the global village. In the past weeks, we have been able to provide you with what it will take to defend yourself. But this is an ongoing war with an enemy more sophisticated, more resourced, more armed, and determined to write our own story. We must understand the actors on the other side. On the 31st of December, Mr. Biya came on television to announce the continuous prosecution of the war against our people, projected his intention to maintain the occupation of our country against the wishes and aspirations of our people, and call on the international system to support it in that effort. I'll let you understand that they are determined to prevail. So too shall we, so too must we be determined to make sure once and for all, for the good of the Ambazonian people and for the good of even the Cameroonian people who have been under political asphyxiation and intoxication for more than 60 years, that both peoples are free. And I also ask Cameroonians to rise up in their own blocks and neighborhood and put an end to this nightmare and misery, whose actions will cost them a fortune after our liberation. We must continuously commit to the defense of our homeland, to the defense of the lives of our people, to the defense of Ambazonians' right as a nation and a state to exist under the sun, to be recognized and admitted within the system of nations. So the government we put in place is going to be working for our people, exploiting our resources to develop our country and to make sure we can remain the anchor of peace and stability in the Gulf of Guinea. We commit to an international system that is free from exploitation, political manipulation, and we commit to an international system that works together to end tyranny, to respect international norms, and to recognize that colonialism has been declared as a crime against humanity, that holds those who commit crimes of genocide, war crimes, crimes of aggression, violation of international law, are brought to book under the system of international justice. My fellow Ambazonians, the year 2021 will be dedicated to armed resistance and to making sure that we reach out to other international partners to work together with our friends at the level of the international community to isolate Cameroon, calling on countries to impose economic sanctions on Cameroon. We know that there is a new incoming administration in the United States of America. We know the background of President-elect Joe Biden, his stance against colonialism, his stance against the apartheid system that curtailed, liberty for our brothers in South Africa. And we know the effort of the outgoing Trump administration in ensuring that Cameroon is brought to book. We know that for the United States to work effectively, the executive, the legislature usually work together. That's why we welcome the latest effort by the Senate Foreign Affairs Committee to pass the resolution on Ambazonia. We recognize certain validities within that resolution. The recognition of historical realities. But we want to still remind the United States of America. Ambazonia is not part of Cameroon. It's not a geographic location of Cameroon. Ambazonia is a state under international law. It's a territory, not part of the territorial space within which Cameroon gained independence. The first step in the resolution of this conflict is to recognize this reality and to call us by who we define ourselves, Ambazonians. We are Ambazonians. We are not the Northwest or Southwest. We are not a geographic region of Cameroon. Without proper recognition of the conflict parties, the international system is still giving Cameroon the false hope that it recognizes its sovereignty over Ambazonia. That cannot stand the test of legal, historical, or sociological scrutiny, because Cameroon as a state recognized under international law does not include Ambazonia. We thank the senators who have been brave enough to speak truth to power, to pass this resolution. And we hope that they will work together to get Cameroon to commit to a multilaterally led, internationally supervised, fair process of negotiation to end its impunity and tyranny under the country of our birth. My fellow citizens, the year 2021 should lead to the complete decolonization of our country. We will be ensuring that in territories that we control, we will be putting in place in the state of Momo, the Mogamo Transitional Authority. The Transitional Authority will be an authority that will be constituted by our forces and a section of the civilian population representative of the various villages within that particular constituency. And the purpose is to ensure that our forces can work together with the civilian population on issues of community policing, community education, community development, and community justice. Only when our people work together with our forces under a common structure will the international system see us as taking responsibility over the lives of our people and over our own affairs. We'll be setting in place the Bechati Transitional Authority, the Bamenda Transitional Authority, and across all the territories that we control in Bui, in Fako, in Lebialem, in Manyu, in Mezam, in Gokitunja, in Menchum, we will be putting in place this transitional authority with limited powers to ensure that there is harmony between our forces and our population, and to always make sure they can support our forces in their effort to defend our community and our country. We have also put in place a rapid deployment force, which we call the stabilization force. The stabilization force will be a mobile force that will move from place to place to support smaller forces, to support communities, to stamp out kidnapping for ransom and extortion, and give our people the guarantee of safety. We want to thank all Ambazonians across the globe who have committed to the stabilization. I want to assure you that you are in charge of your country, but because of ungovernable spaces created by the defeat of Cameroon, there is some level of instability. Those ungovernable spaces have been filled by rogue elements within our own society, rogue elements sometimes supported by Mr. Atanganji, enablers and infiltrators. For the international community to see us as being prepared for recognition, for our population to see our forces as capable and willing to protect them, we have put in place the stabilization force that is going to ensure that there is harmony within our societies, that the lives of our people is protected. The stabilization force is well armed, well trained, the projection of authority and the projection of order within our own society. And it will guarantee safety within communities. It will guarantee protection for smaller forces fighting in the periphery. My fellow Ambazonians, the liberation of a country is a daunting challenge. But if others who have walked this journey have made it, have emerged to write stories of triumph and tragedy, the promise to do it again if given the opportunity should give us solace even in times of pain, that we are on the right course. Do not read the negative headlines, sometimes deliberately imposed by enablers and the regime of curtailment. I want you to enjoy the journey. Do not always ask when is it that we are going to arrive at the destination. Enjoy the journey. I have been proud of having been part of this journey, having walked together with my brothers and sisters, having seen our mothers, our fathers walking alongside us on our way to a freed homeland, a place for every citizen, a place to make sure that no one is ever denied the right to live the right of life simply for being an Ambazonian, that you will not lose your liberty and be detained incommunicado simply because you are Ambazonian, that you will not be denied opportunity simply because you are an Ambazonian. Reject all those tribalists, all those who instrumentalize the foundation of our society for their own gains. We've learned our lessons from the actions of people like Oben Peter Ashu, all those who've instituted tribalism and division within the body politics of Ambazonia. It has only profited them. Some have become ministers for the occupier. Some have become governors serving the occupier. Tribalism has never benefited you. Stand together like one people, even when you disagree. We will always disagree. That is the beauty of a garden with many flowers. That we can inhabit the same space with different opinions and ideas and strategies on how to achieve outcomes. That doesn't and shouldn't make us enemies. My fellow countrymen, the year 2021 has begun well in terms of the resistance. I want to wish you a happy new year and to promise you your war of liberation is on course. The dedication of your patriot volunteers who've left their homes 4 years ago to defend their block is stronger than before. and that those in exile are still as committed today as they were 4 years ago. That all our men and women still hope for the day that our prisoners come home, our IDPs return home, our refugees come back home, for all of us as one people to build the kind of country we want to live in, to build the kind of system we want to give to our children. That is a solemn promise we made to Mami Api, we made to General Ivo and all those who've lost their life for the promise of a free country. Remain committed, defiant, look straight in the eyes of the enemy and don't blink. Ambazonia is yours. It will remain yours. It's something you will bequeath to the next generation. God bless you all. God bless all of you in jail. God bless our country.
Hail this land of glory. We the Ambazonians, special loyalty. Praises to our Savior who granted us the freedom. Our legends to the hero who fought along we gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing rivers and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in